There's a fire burning in America right now. Not one fire, 100 fires, 1,000 fires. Across 11 states, the landscape is turning to ash. In Nevada, 2 massive fires have merged into a single beast, 44,000 acres and growing. In Utah, a fire that started near a small town has exploded to 13,000 acres with zero containment. In Oregon, the largest fire in the state's history has already burned more than 550,000 acres. 6.4 million acres have burned so far this year. That's 156% of the 10-year average. To put that in perspective, that's an area larger than the state of New Hampshire. And we're only halfway through the season. The federal government has declared National Preparedness Level 5, the highest possible alert. Every single firefighting resource in this country is fully committed. Nearly 30,000 firefighters are on the lines right now. And it's still not enough. This is not a normal fire season. This is something different, something bigger, something that has fire experts deeply concerned about what the rest of the year might bring. If you want to understand what's happening and what it means for the millions of people living in the path of these fires, stick around. I'll take you through the biggest fires, the hardest hit regions, and what you need to do to stay safe. Let's start with the big picture. Because to understand the fires, you have to understand the conditions that created them. This fire season didn't start with a single spark. It started months ago. It started with a drought that left the landscape bone dry. It started with a winter that brought far less snow than normal. It started with a spring that was hotter and drier than average. Here's what's driving this fire season. First, extreme drought. More than 90% of the western United States is in some level of drought. In Nevada and Utah, the situation is even worse. Much of the region is experiencing extreme or exceptional drought. Second, record heat. Temperatures across the west have been well above average. Many cities have broken heat records. This heat has dried out vegetation that would normally be moist enough to slow fires. Third, strong winds. The same weather patterns that brought the heat have also brought strong winds. And when you combine dry fuels, high temperatures, and wind, you get fires that spread at terrifying speeds. Fourth, abundant fuel. Cheatgrass and other invasive species have transformed the landscape. What used to be patchy vegetation with natural fire breaks is now a continuous carpet of fuel. When this fuel dries out, it burns fast and hot. The National Interagency Fire Center warned back in January that this would be an above-normal fire season. But even their predictions may have underestimated just how bad it would get. In February alone, the acreage burned increased by 422% compared to the 10-year average. Wildfires are burning longer, moving faster, and behaving less predictably than they did even a decade ago, the U.S. Forest Service warns. What used to be fire seasons have turned into fire years. There's no rest for firefighters anymore. They work year-round, with fewer resources and poor pay. And the forecast ahead is not encouraging. The Climate Prediction Center forecasts that precipitation levels in the Northwest will remain below normal. The National Interagency Fire Center predicts above-average significant fire potential across much of the West through at least August. Now, let's dive into the fires themselves. Starting with Nevada, where the situation has become increasingly desperate. The bug fire started on August 8th near Hallelujah Junction, just north of Reno. Within hours, it had grown from 50 acres to more than 3,000. By the next day, it had crossed the 6,000 acre mark. And then something even more alarming happened. The bug fire merged with the Fred Mountain Fire, creating a single massive blaze that has now burned more than 44,000 acres. The Stallion Fire, burning separately nearby, has added another 20,000 acres to the destruction. Together, these fires are creating a nightmare for firefighters and residents alike. What's fueling this fire? According to the Bureau of Land Management, the fire is exhibiting wind-driven runs, flanking and short-range spotting. In plain English, the fire is moving fast, spreading sideways, and throwing embers ahead of itself to start new fires. The evacuation situation in Washoe County has been nothing short of urgent. Mandatory evacuations are in effect for Cold Springs, Canyon Hills, White Lake, Silver Knolls, and the entire Hungry Valley area. Additional evacuation warnings have been issued for areas between the Fred Mountain and Stallion fires. More than 3,800 households have been affected by evacuation orders, and the number is likely to grow as the fire continues to spread. The Washoe County Sheriff's Office has issued an urgent warning to residents in some areas declaring, "Evacuate now, go now." The animal shelters are being overwhelmed. More than 150 animals are currently at the Reno Sparks Livestock Event Center, and space is limited. Residents are being encouraged to self-evacuate animals to a friend or family member's home if possible. Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo has declared a state of emergency. The Nevada Army National Guard has activated a CH-47 Chinook and a UH-60 Blackhawk helicopter for aerial suppression support. FEMA has approved a fire management assistance grant, providing funding of up to 75% of the state's firefighting expenditures. Investigators believe the bug fire was started by human activity, though the exact circumstances remain under investigation. It's a stark reminder that in fire season, a single careless act can have devastating consequences. Now let's move to Utah, where close to a dozen active fires have scorched more than 300,000 acres. The largest fire in Utah is the Widemouth 2 fire in Fish Lake National Forest. It has burned 122,759 acres and is 30% contained. 877 personnel are assigned. Tragically, 2 helicopter pilots lost their lives on Friday while battling this fire. The U.S. Forest Service confirmed their deaths, saying this year's abnormally dry and warm winter has created a particularly intense fire season. Utah Governor Spencer Cox mourned their deaths, saying they put themselves in harm's way to protect our state and gave their lives in that service. The Rocky Canyon fire is the one I'm most concerned about in Utah right now. Located 6 miles southwest of Hennifer, it has grown to 13,601 acres with 0% containment. The fire has threatened 150 homes and other buildings, as well as transportation, communication, power, and water systems. Mandatory evacuations are in effect for Hennifer and surrounding areas in Morgan County. State Route 66 is closed. FEMA has approved a fire management assistance grant for this fire as well. The Black Canyon Fire, 29 miles southwest of Price, has burned 3,531 acres with 0% containment. Mandatory evacuations are in effect for the Rita residential area in San Pete and Emery counties. Utah has implemented a statewide fire restriction level 2 order. No open burning of any kind is allowed anywhere in the state. Oregon is having the worst fire season in its history. The state has already surpassed its all-time record for acres burned, and we're only halfway through August. The Big Grass Fire is one of the 5 largest wildfires in Oregon history. It has burned 553,972 acres and is 41% contained. It started July 23rd when thunderstorms moved across the region and has since crossed into Idaho. 670 miles of containment line have been constructed. The fire has cost $40.2 million so far. The Wrights Spring Fire near Kiloquin has exploded to 46,969 acres with 0% containment. It ignited August 5th and has been driven by boiling temperatures and dry conditions. The fire is exhibiting extreme behavior, crowning, running, and long-range spotting. Level 1, 2, and 3 evacuation orders remain for areas of Klamath County near the fire. Warm, very dry, and breezy weather is expected, creating ongoing challenges for crews. Washington State has suffered one of the worst urban wildland fire disasters in state history. The Spokane Complex, Old Trails, Autumn Lane, and Fairview has destroyed 774 structures in and around Spokane. 774 families have lost their homes. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to ash. The good news is that containment is improving significantly. Fire behavior is now minimal, backing, creeping, smoldering. But some evacuation zones and road closures remain in place. Washington declared a statewide drought on April 8th. Snowpack remains far below normal, and meltdown occurred about a month earlier than normal. These conditions set the stage for the disaster we're seeing now. Wyoming has become the new hotspot in this fire season. The Weiser Fire, 13 miles southeast of Lander in Fremont County, exploded overnight by 10,350 acres. It now stands at 13,350 acres with 0% containment. This is currently the largest wildfire in Wyoming in 2026. Level 2 evacuations, BSET status, are in effect for the Twin Creek drainage area. That means residents should be packed, prepared, and ready to leave immediately if the order upgrades to Level 3. Wyoming Highway 28 through South Pass remains closed. Do not attempt to travel through that area until further notice. Let me take a moment to talk about what firefighters are facing on the front lines. Nearly 30,000 firefighters are currently deployed across the country. They're working 16-hour shifts, sometimes longer. They're sleeping in tents, eating MREs, and going back out day after day. The conditions they're fighting in are extremely dangerous. Extreme heat, dry air, unpredictable winds. The fires they're fighting are behaving in ways that are hard to predict. The U.S. has called in international support. 115 members of the 1st Canadian Wildfire Management Team are in the Northwest. 59 Fireline personnel from Australia and New Zealand are also on the ground. 240 U.S. Army soldiers from the 7th Infantry Division are fighting fire in Washington State. 4 MF's C-130 military air tankers are running fire suppression missions. The Nevada Army National Guard has activated helicopters near Reno. Every single federal firefighting resource in this country is fully committed. That means if another large fire breaks out, there may not be resources available to fight it immediately. So what's driving this unprecedented fire season? Climate change is making fire seasons longer and more intense. Higher temperatures dry out vegetation faster. Earlier, snowmelt means longer dry seasons. Extreme weather events, like heat waves and lightning storms, are becoming more common. Invasive species like cheatgrass have transformed the landscape. What used to be patchy vegetation with natural fire breaks is now a continuous carpet of fuel. When this fuel dries out, it burns fast and hot. Extreme drought has left the landscape bone dry. More than 90% of the western United States is in some level of drought. In Nevada and Utah, much of the region is experiencing extreme or exceptional drought. Urban expansion into fire-prone areas means more homes and businesses are at risk. More people living in the path of fires means more evacuations, more structures lost, and more lives disrupted. If you live anywhere in the West right now, please take this seriously. Know your evacuation zone level. Level 3 means leave now. Don't wait. Level 2 means be packed and ready to leave immediately. Level 1 means be aware and be ready. Have your go bag ready. Keep it somewhere you can grab in under 2 minutes. Include IDs, insurance policies, medical records, birth certificates, cash and small bills, medications and prescription numbers for people and pets, non-perishable food and bottled water for 72 hours, cell phone charger, car charger and battery packs, toiletries and clothing for 3 to 5 days, and family heirlooms, photo albums, and videos. If you're ordered to evacuate due to wildfire, wear only cotton or wool clothing, long pants, a long-sleeved shirt or jacket, a hat, and boots. Synthetic materials can melt onto skin and cause severe burns. Carry gloves, goggles, and a NIOSH N95 or P100 mask to help filter out smoke particles. For evacuation maps across all fire areas, go to perimetermap.com. That is the official evacuation mapping tool being used by agencies. Don't rely on social media rumors. Follow your county's emergency management for official updates. The situation changes rapidly. We are living through a moment of crisis in the American West. The Great Western Fire Crisis of 2026 is rewriting the history books of fire seasons. 104 large wildfires, 6.4 million acres, 30,000 firefighters. These are not just statistics. They represent homes lost, lives disrupted, and communities forever changed. And this is not over. We are only in mid-August. The peak of fire season usually runs through September and into October in some parts of the West. We could still have months of fire activity ahead of us. What happens next depends on many factors: weather patterns, wind conditions, and the success of firefighting efforts. But one thing is clear: the West is burning at a scale we haven't seen in years. Stay informed, stay prepared, stay safe. If this video helped you understand what's happening, hit that like button, because it helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you get tomorrow's update the moment it goes live. This situation is moving fast. Share this with anyone you know in California, Nevada, Utah, Oregon, Washington, or Wyoming. They need this information today. And if this helped you, check out my video on the Ring of Fire pattern. Stay informed, stay prepared, and stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one.